Welcome to Bed Crime Stories Podcast. I'm your host, T, and I hope you're having a great day. 19-year-old farmer Dylan Rounds has been missing since the end of May. He vanished on Saturday, May 28th of 2022. His parents, Candace Cooley and Justin Rounds, are increasingly desperate for action on his case, for answers as to what happened to Dylan, for him to be found and taken home to Idaho Falls, and for the person or persons responsible for whatever happened to him to be punished. I recently watched a video by Chris of the Mob Crew. Chris was joined by a retired detective named Steve. As Chris showed drone footage of the grain shed property where Dylan Rounds parked his grain truck when it rained, I got an up-close view of the dirt pile. That would be the dirt pile behind which Dylan's boots were found when his parents showed up in Lucin, Utah to search for him. Detective Steve pointed out how the rest of the land surrounding Dylan's farm and the grain shed property is flat, allowing one to see for miles and miles. And although not that many people live in Lucin, there are enough homesteads and people out there in the area who can easily spot vehicles that come and go on that flat land and people who appear in the distance. Steve believes that whoever harmed Dylan likely put his boots behind the dirt pile to conceal them before perhaps burying them. Steve also felt that the perpetrator may have placed Dylan behind the dirt pile at some point, perhaps as he went to find a reliable vehicle to put the body in to later dispose of it. If law enforcement's number one suspect, Jim Brenner, is responsible for whatever happened to Dylan, he would have needed a place to conceal Dylan before he did whatever he did to permanently hide Dylan, whether that was burying him, throwing him down a mine shaft, or transporting him to another area. Thanks to the vast perspective out there in Lucin and the flat desert vista, a person dragging a body and digging a hole in the ground would need to take care not to be spotted. When Mike King of Profiling Evil went there, he could see people in the distance watching him. I think the artist who created the Sun Tunnel art installation there knew that the vast vista Lucin offered was perfect to see through those tunnels for miles and miles. Now we know Dylan was not beneath the dirt pile, at least if we are to believe Dylan's parents, who allegedly searched it thoroughly and who noticed weeds growing all over it on the Monday they turned up after Dylan went missing. Those weeds would not have been there if someone had recently dug up the dirt pile. But make no mistake, that dirt pile definitely played a role in this crime. Whether it was just a convenient place to conceal Dylan's boots until the perpetrator had more time to permanently make those boots go poof and disappear, or whether it was also a place to put Dylan before a trustworthy vehicle could be secured to take him far away from the area, I don't know. But I do know that the dirt pile is important. It is an anomaly in otherwise mostly flat terrain. Now, Jim Brenner has an upcoming court hearing on October 3rd at 10:30 a.m. Let's hope that the reciprocal discovery form that I talked about last week, the one listing the items of evidence that the prosecution wants access to from the defense, means that Brenner, if indeed he is the guilty party, we don't know that, will soon be charged in Dylan's case. I'll leave a link to the Mob Cruise video in the description. It's definitely worth watching. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, now do me a favor, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my channel.